So this is lesson 5-9 in your textbook, and the objective of this lesson is to identify trinomial squares and then to transform a trinomial square to the square of a binomial. Let's look at an example as we get into this, okay? If I have x squared plus 12x plus 36, I need to know if it's a trinomial square. The way that I know that is I take the square root of the third term. The square root of 36, I know, is 6. Then I look at the second term and see if it's twice of 6. Well, I know that 2 times 6 equals 12, and that is the coefficient of my middle term. Therefore, this is a trinomial square. So at this point, I can now transform this trinomial square to the square of a binomial. Binomial just has 2 terms in it. So I know my first term is going to be x, and then I'm going to add to it the square root of that third term, which was 6, and then I'm going to square it. X plus 6 is the binomial, and now it's squared, and that is my answer. Let's look at another example. Suppose I have x squared minus 20x plus 100. First, I need to identify if it's a trinomial square or not. So I'm going to take the square root of that third term. Square root of 100 is 10. 2 times the square root of 100 is 20. And that is, I need my x there, that is the coefficient of that middle term. So yes, this is a trinomial square. So now I know that I can represent it as the square of a binomial by doing x, which is the square root of x squared. And then I'm going to have my second term in here is going to be the square root of that third term, which is 10. However, this time, I'm going to have to subtract because that second term is negative. And of course, don't forget the square at the end. That would be my answer. Okay? Let's look at another one. If we have x squared plus 10x plus 64. I'm going to start off by identifying if it's a trinomial square. Taking the square root of the third term, that's 64. Square root of 64 is 8. Now, is 2 times 8 equal to the coefficient of my second term? No, it does not equal 10. So this is not a trinomial square. In order for it to be a trinomial square, that third term, when you take the square root of the third term, multiply it by 2, you should get the coefficient of the second term. Let's look at one more that is a trinomial square. X squared minus 10x plus 25. Take the square root of that third term, multiply it by 2, okay? Square root of the third term is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. So this is a trinomial square. So I'll do x, and again, this time it will be minus 5 because the second term is being subtracted. The 5 is coming from taking the square root of the third term. And don't forget to put your square there.